Hi, friends. Welcome to the Enneagram workshop. My name is Vanessa Fernandez, and that's Frankie. She's making a guest appearance for today. And we are going to be talking about what does it mean to do Enneagram work from the lens of being already whole. So this is a curriculum that I've been working on for the last, year or so. And it's extremely exciting. And it also really shifts the perspective from which we approach Enneagram work to begin with. So in traditional healing approaches and modalities, we are coming in assuming there is something wrong with me and I need to fix it. There is something broken and I need to get it, back to being whole. And the question is, what if we were already whole? What if we weren't broken or missing a piece or needing to be fixed in some way? Now, for each Enneagram type, this is going to present some resistance, and that's okay. In fact, a lot of the work that we do is noticing when we resist types of information, noticing when someone says something and inside we say, that can't be true. I don't feel comfortable with that. That sounds wrong. And the truth is, sometimes people say things that are not true and that are wrong, and that internal resistance is appropriate and we go with it. And other times, what someone is saying is simply challenging a narrative that we have held for most of our lives, or a narrative that kept us safe for most of our lives. And as we explore, why am I feeling this resistance? It becomes a gateway to start exploring whether or not we want to expand into a different narrative, whether or not we could even accept that maybe we're not broken, that we could even accept that maybe we are already whole. And what this is going to require of us, though, is to begin to turn toward the parts of ourselves that we tend to want to turn away from. So we all have parts of ourselves that we would rather put away into a closet and lock the door, or we'd rather put under the bed and not take a look at. Each type has parts of itself that they feel are not acceptable. And sometimes it's because when we have overindulged in these parts of ourselves, it has caused pain for ourselves and for others. Now, I hold the opinion that pain is not a bad thing that we should always avoid. I believe that pain is a messenger. And again, just like the internal resistance, sometimes the pain is telling me, maybe we should not put our hand in a hot fire because we will lose that hand. So I listen to that pain. Other times the pain is telling me, keep going. You're doing this exercise, right? You're not going to be able to walk tomorrow because it's leg day and there's a lot of pain here, but this is the pain that allows me to grow. This is the pain that builds strength. And so being able to sit with pain long enough to determine what kind of pain it is really, really important. Being able to listen to pain as it speaks to us and understand what that pain is trying to tell us is really, really important. And when we realize that sometimes pain is a messenger, sometimes pain is there to be held, not to be numbed, not to be fixed, and not to be run away from, then that allows us to say, okay, well, maybe these parts of me that are causing pain, maybe there's something underneath them that is begging me to love and accept and have compassion for. So I'll take my type, for example, as a type 3, I tend to overdo working and achieving and pushing myself to succeed at all costs. And that has caused pain for me in my life. That has caused disconnection for me with people that I care about, as I have prioritized my own success over connection with others. And so a part of me can say, see, that's what's wrong with me. If I could just get it together, if I could just learn to not be such a 3, then I would not experience this pain anymore. I'm broken and I need the Enneagram to come in and fix me so that I can be not so 3-ish in the annoying parts of my 3-ness. But what if I took the perspective that I am already whole, and that part of me that wants to work really hard is actually covering up a wound. And as I turn toward that piece, rather than reject it and try to not be so much that way, what if instead I turned toward it and I started to listen? What is beneath the narrative of gotta do more, gotta do more, gotta do more? Well, for me, it's the feeling of being unseen unless I had a gold star next to my name. And as I dig into that, I realize there's grief here. There's a little girl who is terrified of not mattering unless she is above and beyond, outstanding, top of the class. Right. And so for me to try and fix myself and stop working so hard means that I'm actually taking that little girl and her terrified feeling of what if I don't matter, if I'm not the top of the class, and I'm saying, too bad for you, little girl. Overachieving is out. Being a good, healthy 3 who takes vacations and rests and doesn't work all the time is in. And now I'm going to do this instead. And that bypasses that little girl. That bypasses that shame, and that bypasses that fear. And that tells her that her very real, terrified feelings, they don't matter because I know what to do to be a healthy 3. I just have to get it together and not be such a workaholic. And so already whole actually says all the parts of me, even the parts that maybe I'm ashamed of, hold a story and hold an interesting message. And if I can get down to the bottom and I can love on that little girl and tell her that her worth is hers and hold her until she's able to relax into the truth that she will still have connection, even if she's not the top of the class. And that takes time. I wish I could tell you that I figured out that that little girl was there and I wrapped her up in my arms and she was like, hey, I'm fine now. We can do whatever we want. I'm not going to be terrified anymore. It took time. It still takes time. I'm still loving on that little girl. But loving on that little girl, turning toward the parts of me that I know are not healthy manifestations of my type, instead of running away from them, turning toward them, that has what has opened up and relaxed and brought integration in my own personal journey. That is what is bringing integration in the journeys of so many of my clients. As we begin to look at those parts of us that don't hit the healthiest meters on our Enneagram type levels of health. I love when the lower levels of health show up for me. I love when the lower levels of health show up for my clients, because what that tells me is there's nothing wrong with you, but there's a little piece of you that is asking to be loved, that is asking to be resourced, that is asking to be held and integrated in rather than rejected and told to get out of here. We don't want you. That's why it's so important not to hold ourselves to some sort of metrics of, well, if I was really healthy, this is how I would be in my type. Or if I was really, healed and integrated, then this is how I would look. Bullshit. We don't get to pick when the parts of us that need to be healed start to arise and ask and beg and plead for our attention. Sometimes that message comes in the form of pain, comes in the form of our type going into those lower levels of health. And if we can't have the resource and the capacity to hold and turn toward that, then we will continue to wound those parts of us that haven't yet been pulled in and integrated and healed. And that's where a lot of us get frustrated. A lot of us get frustrated around, I know what I need to do to be a healthy 7 or a healthy 8 or a healthy 9, and I just can't do it. Well, Yeah, because those lower levels of health are not there for you to whip into shape and get it together. Those lower levels of health are there for you to listen and learn and inquire and begin to love and integrate. What if you were already whole? We are going to be doing an entire weekend experience around this concept. You can click below for more details. I would love to have you as we explore what this looks like for each type, as we practice some somatic or body support resourcing in order for us to be able to turn toward those parts of us, because that can be a little scary. We can't just turn toward those parts of us if we don't have the ability to resource ourselves and calm and regulate our nervous systems when we start to feel resistance. All of this is necessary in order to do the integrative radical inclusivity work that we need to do around our type. So I would love to have you. Again, more information can be found at the link below. And I hope that at the very least, this invites you into an inquiry around what if you were already whole.